thought feminism was bourgeois and old-fashioned fuddy-duddy, weren't interested in that. We were young modern liberationists. This article argued that women today were still oppressed within the family. She identified the four, what she called, it was a very kind of Marxian analysis, but the four structures of women's oppression, and one of them was, I can't remember them all now, but family, education, employment, and so on. And I was just so stunned with recognition that the world that she described actually matched my own life, and that she analysed the fact that, despite the fact that I thought I was a modern, young, emancipated woman, in fact there were these barriers. There was no equal pay, there was no equal employment opportunities, when it came to sexuality and reproduction, there were all these issues. And I thought, yes, this is true, this is actually true, and that's what got me started. And then, of course, a couple of years later, when women's liberation really exploded, and our main sources of ideas for the first year anyway were pamphlets from the American women, and they particularly were mostly women who came out of the left, and women who had been in the anti-Vietnam movement, as I had, and they described experiences with which resonated totally. That even though we were all, part of the revolutionary left, and we were there to liberate the world and free the people of North Vietnam and Cuba and Bolivia and everywhere, we were still doing the shit work. We were doing all the domestic work. We were, the waitresses of the banquet of life, as Bette Midler used to say. And we thought there was liberation for everybody, but not for us. And those stories really resonated about the kind of basic sexual oppression of women on the left, the fact that the women on the left were expected to do all the work and get none of the credit. All the heroes of the new left were men. Women never made speeches, women never asked questions at meetings. We were meant to just be there, looking good and basically invisible. And so that resonated too. And so women's liberation was really a response to that. So women wanted to have the same political involvement as well as having their own identity in their own lives.
So it sounds to me like for you it was about the personal, and then there was this realisation that there's an institutional kind of a framework, patriarchy behind it. So, and I find that particularly interesting. What I also find particularly interesting that you said, Anne, was you differentiated between women's liberation and feminism. And you said that you considered back then feminism to be bourgeois and so forth. How do you see it now? Do you see that there is a difference between women's liberation and feminism? Is one term obsolete, or how do you reconcile that now?
Well, I suppose young feminists today would look back on women's liberationists in the same way that women's liberationists look back on the feminists of our day. Much older, boring. We thought that the older feminists, and these are women who'd been active back, say, in the 1920s and 30s, were very puritanical. They were against sex, they were against drinking. Whereas we were, women of the 60s. I'll leave it at that.
No, please tell us more.
But when we eventually started using the term feminism, which was only after a few years, one thing is that the media shortened it to women's libbers, so we were libbers, so it became women's lib, which was a bit queer. So, in the end we thought feminism probably was better, but it still wasn't enough. So you had to be, what sort of feminist were you? Were you a radical feminist, or a socialist feminist, or a lesbian feminist, or a separatist feminist, or there was all kinds of feminists. Now we're all just feminists. And that probably, now everyone says, well, are you a feminist or aren't you a feminist? And all of that. We spend an awful lot of time, I think, arguing rather futilely about that. Whereas I think what's like the whole stuff about Julie Bishop, and is she or isn't she, and who gives a rat's.
But she has no shoes.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say anything because I don't trust myself. what I would say is that I think that feminism today is perhaps so broad a term that maybe it needs to be defined a bit more. I mean, you know, it's not a term that covers everyone, sort of from Beyonce to all of us. Maybe it needs a little definition.
Do you think there's an issue with that? Do you think that you know, not only does it need a definition, but does it need more than that? I mean, considering this whole idea of do you identify as a feminist or not, and you hear women who are enjoying the fruits of your work and the work of our sisters and women's libbers as they were, who say, well, feminism, I'm not a feminist. Do you think there needs to be some kind of regeneration of feminism for this generation?
Yeah, what I think is more important, rather than say, are you a feminist? I'd say, do you support abortion? You know, let's get cut to the chase and deal with the issues, you know, feminist issues. I mean, what matters, feminism matters because it's meant to be delivering opportunities and equality for women. And the question about, you know, is the difference between feminism and women's liberation. I do think feminism has, and I have too, become much more pragmatic than I used to be a very utopian sort of feminist. And you know, nothing short of a revolution would be satisfactory. And I changed my approach to discuss with a lot of people. But when I went into politics, I'm not politics in the way that you are. I remember the farmer, but I went to work in the bureaucracy, and then I went to work for Cork Heating, and it seemed to me that these were really important opportunities to use the power of government to achieve some of the reforms that we always talked about and argued for, and particularly things like the biggest thing that was done by the Hawke government, by Senator Susan Ryan, who was Minister for Women back then, was the Sex Discrimination Act. I mean, I didn't even know when I was growing up that, you know, that it was, again, there were laws stopping me from doing things, stopping me from having certain jobs, stopping me from getting equal pay, stopping me from all kinds of things. It was actually legal to do that. And it was a tremendous shock once you realised that. And so the importance of having that legislation which got rid of all of that, at least in theory, was absolutely changed everything. And so I realised the power of government, and to be able to work in the Prime Minister's Department or in the Prime Minister's office and actually do something major and concrete around childcare, or like around violence against women, or to set up, you know, when I worked for Keating, we set up national breast screening, which is a tiny little thing back then. Now, look at, you know, it's everywhere, and every woman in Australia, hopefully, has access to it. We set up cervical cancer screening. So you can do all these really practical things, and I decided that the trade-off was worth it, to achieve those practical things rather than waiting for the revolution.
I want to just probe a little bit with you on something that's quite, I guess, a bit personal to me, because for a long time I actually did reject feminism, because as a woman of colour, I felt that feminism didn't speak or didn't include women like me, that it didn't speak to the issues that I was facing. When I first discovered feminism, it was in this kind of awe that, oh my God, white women go through this shit too. But then as I got further and further into feminism, I kind of found that it didn't really have a space for me. And in fact, feminism wanted to save me, but not include me, if that makes any sense. And I'd like to get your opinion on that, on whether you think feminism now has become a more inclusive, more, I guess, woke feminism to intersectionalities like race and disability.
Well, I think one of the sort of quite sad things is that when we first got going in the early 70s, I think we were much more diverse and inclusionary than we became. And certainly in the early days in Sydney, there were Aboriginal women, there were women from a lot of different cultures, and there were certainly disabled women involved, very actively involved at all levels of women's liberation. And I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure how...
The 90s happened.
I guess the 90s. Well, I think DIY feminism was very destructive. That was the 90s, where everyone was just, girl power and everyone just got off and did their own thing. And the movement kind of, collapsed. So I guess we're trying to... And the way we rebuild a movement is very different now in the age of social media and the kind of technology. I mean, when we started off doing the kind of politics that I did when I was a young radical, I mean, I didn't even have a telephone, a landline, let alone what we have now. So, I mean, I think we're actually geniuses the way we managed to communicate. If you wanted to organise something, you used to write people letters or go around to their house. But now, of course, the capacity to organise and to communicate and to reach a huge audience, almost instantaneously, has kind of changed everything. And at the same time as we've become able to reach anybody, we've also become more closed in, talking to people we know and people we like. But just on the intersectionality thing, I feel I can just share a story with you, which is maybe not about me, but I have been doing a bit of work in the States on a woman called Kimberly Crenshaw, who you may know. She's the woman who invented the term intersectionality, and the reason I'm interested in her is that I'm going to be involved in some events with her in the festival that my partner organises in New York in May. And so I've been doing a lot of work on her, and she is phenomenally interesting, and she gave a TED talk, which I would really recommend you have a look. You can easily find it on YouTube, Kimberly Crenshaw, and she's a professor of law at University of Columbia, and she does this talk where she gets the whole audience to stand up. And she says, I'm going to say some names to you, and some notes here. And she says, if you know the name if you recognise the name that I say, remain standing. And if you don't recognise it, please sit down. And so she starts saying these names. She says, Eric Garner, everybody still remains standing. She says, Trayvon Martin, everybody remains standing. She says, Freddie Gray, everybody remains standing. She says, Michael Brown, everyone remains standing. She says, Tanisha Anderson, half the audience sit down. And then she says, Natasha McKenna, more people sit down. Michelle Crusoe, Mayor Hall. And she says, by the time she's finished going through these women's names, the only people left standing are the people who work for her. And the names that the boys' names that I read, probably most of you will recognise, are boys who've been shot and killed by the police in America, black boys, African American boys for the most part. The names of the women, these are African American women who've been shot by the police. There have been 70 of these women identified, ranging in age from 7 to 90, and nobody knows anything about them. And the whole point about the intersectionality that Kimberly Crenshaw argues for is that there's got to be a way of naming and understanding. Our thinking has to expand to, so when we talk about police violence against black people, it can't just be violence against black men, it's also going to be violence against black women. And so she's come up with this hashtag, say her name. And so the whole thing about this TED talk she gives is about say her name, learn these women's names, honour them in the same way that the boys are honoured. And I think it's a very powerful speech, a very powerful concept, and she's become very involved in the Me Too movement too, as has Tarana Burke, who first invented Me Too, not as a hashtag, but as an actual movement. To say, well, when we talk about sexual violence, or we talk about sexual harassment, or we talk about what happened with Harvey Weinstein and all of that, don't forget the black women, the women of colour, who have also been victims of sexual harassment, but maybe their attackers weren't Hollywood movie stars. Maybe that's a different situation. So as a result of all this, what's happening now is there's been a very powerful documentary made in the States about a guy called, what's his name? Steve Kelly? R. Kelly?
Oh, the singer.
The singer. And this was, where the women have really kind of rallied, because he got away for decades with abusing, raping, and other kinds of sexual abuse of young women, many of them underage, because he was protected. because he was protecting the black community. He said, well, you know, if we dob him in, it's going to affect badly on us. And so what intersectionality is, I'm talking about this context in the States now, which is, you know, different from here, I give you that, but that it's been a struggle to have women of colour's issues recognised and taken seriously, because there's been this kind of cone of silence. And that's changing, and that's very powerful. And so I think we have to, here in Australia, we have to find, you know, our own mechanisms, if you like, for identifying the issues and bringing them all together. And when we have an issue like, for example, violence against women, you know, women who are victims of violence aren't just white women, aren't just people of colour, they aren't just disabled women, it's everybody. And we have to find a way that makes that very explicit, and that's, I think we're trying to do that.
I think we are too, but I think for me, when we talk about these days, when we talk about equality, it's usually about the men and women. And so I see, you know, we've just had International Women's Day where the theme was balance, and I gave a few talks where I talked about, you know, it being like this, people were describing it as these justice scales of men and women. And for me as a woman of colour, for me, the experiences that I've had in my life aren't just about being a woman, but also about being a woman of colour, a Muslim woman, a minority woman, and all of those other things, and a pretty bad cook. I've had experiences from that too. But yeah, there's a kind of a balance also that occurs within and among women, which is about I'm not going to celebrate until every sister can celebrate with me. I'm not going to pat myself on the back and say, well done, until every sister has the same opportunities that I have and that every other woman has. And I think that's kind of, for me, where in the Australian context, where we have Aboriginal women, for example, experience violence at 32 times the rate of non-Aboriginal women. And that's a particularly stark example. But these issues that we've spoken about today, about this kind of expectation to marry a doctor or a lawyer, these still exist, particularly among ethnic and migrant women in some communities. And I talk to young women every day, who say to me, I want to be this and I want to do this, but there's this expectation. There's this expectation. And I want to go back to the practical, because you were talking earlier about when you got involved in politics and you can see this kind of pragmatic change that you were making. And where we're at now, in terms of an assessment of where we are, and there's, I think you'll agree that we've still got a long way to go. Would you say that we've gone a little bit backwards in many regards, or have we stagnated in terms of the things that you wanted to achieve? And do we really actually need that revolution?
Well, that's a big question. There's a lot to try to respond to. I think, the answer is yes and no, and maybe and possibly. But the way I analyse it, and I talk about this in the book, I've got a chapter called The Getting of Anger. And in that chapter, I talk about what happened in the 1990s when John Howard came along and basically ripped up pretty much everything that we'd achieved in the Whitlam, Hawke and Keating governments, and which Fraser had basically left alone. I mean, Fraser didn't do a lot, but he didn't destroy it either, kind of left things in place. Whereas Howard came along determined to rip it all up and to impose this white picket fence morality or ideology on the whole population. And I was both heartbroken and in the end angry when he abolished things like the Women's Bureau, he abolished all of the mechanisms that we had set up that would measure what was happening, women's employment, women's pay, women's participation in sport, women's this, everything. You know, we had a special unit in the Australian Bureau of Statistics that measured all this. We used to have a quarterly publication that reported on it. We got rid of all of that. He tried to get rid of the Office of the Status of Women. When he couldn't do that, he then put Prue Gowd in charge of it, which was basically the same thing. He got rid of so many his attitudes towards women, like he stopped lesbians from having access to IVF, for example. He ripped the guts out of the Human Rights Commission, took away the complaint handling powers, took away their budget. Basically gutted it so that, you know, it's window dressing and can do educating work, but it can't do the kind of forensic investigations and prosecutions that it was designed to do. And worst of all, I think he then changed the tax system, he changed employment policy, he changed all the policies to make it punitive, if not impossible, for mothers to go to the workforce. The financial penalties that he created, and many which survive today, and which account for the very low participation rate of women in this country compared with the rest of the OECD. So I mean, that we have definitely went backwards when he did all that. That was criminal, and I think, you know, we've picked up a bit since then. We've recovered a lot since then, but not everything. You know, for example, something like childcare. We spend $9 billion a year on childcare, and the system doesn't work. Nobody's happy with it. And the basic issues with childcare always have been availability and cost. And we've still got those two issues, even though we spent, where's the $9 billion going? So it's not the money, it's the system.
I hear Perth Town's got a few childcare centres. Maybe that's where it's going.
Maybe that's where it's going. In fact, they have gone back to privatising childcare the way they did under Howard, and look what happened there. So there's so many areas like that where all of the things that we had achieved, and which have been, you know, designed to try and achieve a really good result for everybody, we got rid of, and then we entered into this kind of siege mentality that we're only just getting out of. I think the things that are positive that, you know, I talked about in my press club speech last Wednesday is the success of the affirmative action policies for the representation of women in the Labor Party is phenomenal. The success of Emily's list, so the majority of those women are pro-choice. That is so important. So it's really important to have women in decision-making positions of power and a diversity of women in those positions, because women in power will act for women. You know, there's ample evidence of that all of the great social reforms of the past 30 years that benefit women have been either instigated by women or, you know, demanded by women. And you know, think of the Sex Discrimination Act, you think of paid parental leave, you think of the NDIS, you know, the apology to mothers whose children were taken from them, all the stuff that Gillard did and Jenny Macklin did. So it really, really matters to have women in power, and we've waited a long time to, we're almost at parity with the Labor Party, which will probably happen in May. Other side of politics basically said to the women, we don't want you, piss off, and let's hope the electorate judges them accordingly. So that's good. You know, so there's good things and bad things.
And you know, you've got a pretty scathing assessment of the Howard years, and I imagine the Abbott years, but your assessment of the current government is equally scathing. You have said misogyny is now the hallmark of the Liberal Party. It is a badge worn with pride.
I think so.
I'm not going to argue with that. I think that's pretty accurate. But I do want to then...
just what the Prime Minister said on International Women's Day.
Oh my goodness, no words. No words. I was fuming.
Fancy not International Women's Day. When do you think the Prime Minister will talk about women, for a start?
No.
No?
But this is where I want to go.
You call me old-fashioned.
Maybe he took the woe out of women and just thought it was men's day. But this is where I want to kind of finish up here, and then we'll go to the audience, is on this current kind of, when I heard the words that the Prime Minister said, you know, on social media, you hear a lot of men saying things, you know, through this this toxic masculinity movement. And, oh, what about the men and why do the women get it? Feminism is about dominating men and about women taking the place of men and women wanting to be like men. And so we've got this I get this kind of echo chambers out there at the moment that are really impacting on how young men see feminism, but also how young women see feminism. And just as a finish up to our conversation before we head to questions, Anne, I'd like to hear you say something about this. And you did mention the Me Too movement. And I often think the Me Too movement is assessed not as a movement or critiqued as a movement, but critiqued and assessed as a hashtag, as opposed to an actual something substantive. So where are we, just to finish off, it's a big question, but where are we at the moment with this rising misogyny that's at the highest levels as much as it is at the lower levels?
I mean, it's a really, interesting and kind of perplexing issue, I think. And we were talking about this we had this little lunch today with some terrific women put on by Anne Aly's list, and we were talking about that there and saying, when I was in my early feminist days, we never used the word misogyny. We used the word male chauvinism, that sort of described things back then. Misogyny was wasn't like too strong, or I don't know, but I mean, misogyny was a word that basically Julia Gillard brought it back into our vocabulary for good reason. And she did us a great favour, I think, because she made us sort of confront this word. I remember when she first said it, all these journalists used to, particularly women journalists, used to ring me up and say, well, hasn't she gone over the top? Misogynist, that's too strong. Hatred.
She wasn't talking about Tony Abbott, wasn't she?
Exactly. I mean, I think that the word wasn't actually strong enough, but when you think of, you look at what happened to her and what's happened to so many other women in either powerful positions or in places where they're not wanted, and misogyny, I think, it's kind of a spectrum of feelings from absolute hatred leading to murder, to hostility, just not wanting women there. And you see they're not wanting women there, well, certainly the Liberal Party, they don't want them, so they're out the door. Sterling by-election the other day anyway. But in all sorts of situations, in work situations, women, being resented for getting certain jobs or getting elevated to certain positions. And so the payback, if you like, is hostility, and that can be expressed via sexual harassment. It can be expressed in all kinds of ways. And it really is quite... I just heard a story today, just the things that are yelled... you must have your own stories that in federal parliament, do people yell out stuff at you?
Oh, all the time. They yell it, they write it, I don't listen to them.
What do they say?
Oh, so I don't care, I don't listen to them. They call the Labor women, one of them, Alex Hawke, who's some bland white bloke, said that all the Labor women were cookie cutter. And that's why they won't have quotas, because none of us got there on merit, because we're all cookie cutter women. Well, this cookie cutter? I don't think so. But yeah, they do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, this is just, at one level it's juvenile, but at another level it's, how dare they? You're sitting there as an equal member of parliament, elected by your electorate, and you're sitting there doing your job, representing your people, trying to, get the opposition and hopefully turn government. And these boys are sort of yelling out stuff like that. It's just pathetic.
But it's more than that. It's the whole discussion around merit. The underlying message is none of you got here on merit. All you women, you all got here because some bloke gave up a place for you, which that's what I find particularly insulting, that you've got these really unextraordinary men so passionately... But so passionate about merit.
That's the point I made the other day in the press club. I mean, if they really did select by merit in the Liberal Party, there would be a lot more women there.
Oh, yeah,
None of those blokes would be there. None of those blokes would be there.
But I mean, they don't just select men, they only select a very narrow band of men, and then I think the way the Liberal Party's going, it will soon be like, 90% men, and half of them will be from the IPA, and the other half will be from the military. That's all I care about.
Absolutely.
Well, I've got to say, I've really enjoyed this discussion. I feel like
I wanted to ask you some questions, I didn't even get to that.
Oh. We'll get there. Oh, it's Linda's turn, but I felt like, we've been sitting down in our lounge room and just having a bit of a chat, and I really do appreciate it. But I think it's time to go to the audience. So I'm going to hand over to Linda, who will moderate, if you can hear me, the questions.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Anne.
Another
Let's give it up. Please. Give it up for Anne. Fantastic. Okay.
Well, we've had a lot of questions come through on Slido, so thank you to the Emmas if you helped, but thank you to everyone for asking questions. I've done my best now to try to categorise the questions, so we move from topic to topic, and I'll try to move us through a couple of the interesting topics in a range of different areas. So, Kickstarter opener, federal election, obviously. We are in the midst of it now, so I want to ask Anne Squared, as how I will refer to you for the rest of the night. What do you think the major policy challenges that women should tackle in the next 5 years, or what do you think are the most pressing federal policy issues at the next federal election? So I might flick to Anne Aly first.
Oh, that's what Anne Squared means.
Yeah, Anne Squared.
I'll tell you, it's a Monday.
That's good. It was a good joke.
Okay, Linda. Okay, for me, I think that we've got a really good agenda for women in Labor, and it really does demonstrate that when women are elected to Parliament, Parliament works for women. And for me, one of the big issues, and I come to this job with a whole lot of personal experience that for me sets out what I think the priorities are. For me, we really do need to tackle domestic violence. We need to tackle violence against women. We cannot continue on. This is a national crisis. It is a national crisis. Violence against women. We simply, this government in particular, are not doing enough. I mean, I could not believe when their big showcase thing for violence against women was that they were going to let women fleeing a violent marriage access their superannuation. What superannuation? I didn't have superannuation 25 years old leaving a violent marriage. I didn't have any superannuation. I didn't have a cent to my name, let alone superannuation. But it just goes to show how they think.
Even if you did, why should you?
Why should I have to access my super?
Why should women victims of domestic violence be the only ones who have to use their super to pay for a service the government ought to be paying for?
Exactly. So I think we really need to tackle that. I think we also need to look at the representation of all women in Parliament. Women with disabilities, I think, we still are underrepresented. Women with disabilities are still underrepresented in Parliament. Aboriginal women are still unrepresented in Parliament. Women of colour are still unrepresented in Parliament. Underrepresented as well. Yeah, thank you, Anne. And so I think we need to work on that as well. But they're my things mainly. About you, Anne?
Well, I mean, I'd certainly agree that it's just fantastic. It will be fantastic if Labor is elected in May to have a government where women are front and centre. Two of the four leaders are women. The fabulous Penny Wong in the Senate, who I think will bring a very different style to being a female Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade. I'll leave it at that.
You mean she'll actually be a minister?
And I think Tanya Plibersek as the Deputy Prime Minister. And I just can't tell you how extraordinarily thrilled and surprised I was by Tanya's announcement last week about tying federal funding to public hospitals to a requirement that they provide women's health care services, including abortions. And that is just a stunning policy. And it's stunning for Labor to have got to this point, because once Labor, we never got a policy like that from Labor before there were all these women, particularly pro-choice women, so Emily's list, thank you. And also to do it so close to election, because once that would have been seen as an issue that would be too risky and divisive, and in fact it's not. I mean, this is women listening to women in the community, knowing these services are needed, and responding in a way that is courageous, and I think immensely practical, and really to be congratulated. So, I mean, that's typical of the sorts of policy initiatives that I think we can expect from the Labor government, with women having such a central role in policy making.
Thank you. We've had a lot of questions, and I'll do my best to get through as many of them as I can. Just going through, keeping on the theme of politics, I was actually myself conflicted about asking this question, but I think it's worth asking. So the question's from an anonymous questioner. I feel conflicted about Julie Bishop being rebranded as a feminist icon, given her views on quotas and lack of support of women throughout her career. What are your thoughts?
Look at your face. Your face says it all, but I think you should start on this one.
Well, I want to know who's calling her a feminist icon. No one I've met.
Fair. And?
Oh, look, I just find it really disappointing that women like Julie can't embrace the fact that, girl, you're a feminist, you know, just embrace it and fly the flag. Where I think, you know, they have to be, they feel like, I think it's a shame that they feel like they have to be softly about feminism when we've had such amazing icons and predecessors speak with such a roar and a fierceness, and it makes me sad that they aren't as courageous. You know, when you use that term, Labor is courageous. We're courageous because we've got women in Parliament. That's why. Yeah. So I just think it's really sad.
The other thing is, I mean, the way in which Julie Bishop's been treated by her own colleagues is, I mean, it's beyond disgraceful. I mean, first of all, we'll just do the recent stuff. I don't want to go too far back, but just the recent stuff where, you know, when she ran for the leadership, they secretly organised against her on WhatsApp, didn't even tell her, so she didn't get no votes from Western Australia. She only got, 11 votes?
Yeah. I think.
Which is just so humiliating. Then this whole thing with the pre-selection yesterday, where the person that she recommended, or that she backed, got 1 vote. The person John Howard, remember him? Remember what he stands for? The person John Howard recommended romped him.
Yeah.
So where's the party going?
That's right. But I think there's a silver lining to this. She is furious. I know, I spoke to her. But I think there's a silver lining to this. And the silver lining, I think, is when they open their mouths and they talk about merit, well, you had a woman in there who could have, should have been the leader of the party on her merit. She was the most senior person in the party. Regardless of what you think of her performance as a foreign minister, she was the most experienced person. So you want to, you know, young babyface Alex Hawke wants to talk to me about merit. You know, I think the silver lining here is that we can turn around and say, well, there you go. Your whole argument about merit comes crashing down with the Julie Bishop example.
Absolutely.
I'm keen to delve into that just a little bit more and want to ask you a question about treatment of women candidates in campaigns, and once in public office is often inequitable. What can we do to change the playing field and change this that's happening? And Anne, you spoke a bit about diversity of candidates. What do you think, in addition to that diversity of candidates, what do you think are the biggest barriers for women, specifically young women entering Parliament? And I'll just tack on another question to that, which is, in any of this, how do you think we can get more women into Cabinet?
I think, first of all, we need to give more safe seats to women, please. So I look at the list as somebody on a 0.67 margin, like the smallest margin in the entire universe. I look at the list of people who have got the big margins and the big safe seats, and I think, why can't more women have those safe seats? Really, we're giving the safe seats to blokes, and the women are the ones who have to work harder to win their seats because they're better at it. Let's just be clear, because women are better at winning their seats. So I think we are. So I think that certainly needs to be done. I think in terms of women candidates and women in Parliament, there is more that we can do to support women in Parliament. But it's not just women, it also is where do you come from? Because I come from outside politics. I'd never been to Parliament House. I walk down there and those big paintings of those old white men, they look at me and it's like they're saying, what are you doing here? Who let you in the house? And so for me, it was very much an outsider's coming in as an outsider. So I think that we need, and more you'll see that the men coming in kind of come through the political and the women coming in kind of come out from outside of politics. So I think we can do more to support women coming in. I don't know about younger women because I'm not really young, but I think certainly we've come a long way in supporting women with children and women with young children in the federal parliament. I didn't know, but it's not that long ago that we got our first childcare centre in Parliament House. So it's not just, but I have to also make a point, it's not just about supporting the women candidates and the women parliamentarians, but also our staff. And supporting the female staff. And mentoring the female staff, because don't forget, I may have to travel to Canberra every sitting week, but so do my staff members. And women staff members with young children, we need to provide them with the equal level and amount of support that we do to women parliamentarians.
Moving on, I want to shift to a topic that is very dear to me, which is about class structure. So we have a question that class does matter. How do we support each other as women while also confronting the very real class differences that exist between us? In a minute.
Do we have a context? Are we talking about in politics or?
I think it's generally supporting each other. Why don't we talk about the people in this room and supporting each other in the different class differences as activists?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking about inclusiveness. We're talking about, if we're talking about a political party or we're talking about a workplace or whatever situation, I mean, it's like the conversation about intersectionality. I mean, we have to find ways to be inclusive, to make sure that everybody has equal opportunities, and those that perhaps start from a better position, are aware of that, aware of their own privilege, and that those that perhaps have a disadvantage get a bit of help along the way. We can only do it if we acknowledge it's an issue and then we determine to address it.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I think the very, very, very first step we need to do is awareness. And awareness of privilege, unconscious bias. I want to bring in unconscious bias training into the caucus. These kinds of things. I think that's where we start, is awareness, because we can't start to build on anything if we don't come to an issue without self-awareness.
Now, Anne Summers, I want to ask you, how does Australia compare globally on gender equality? And care to reflect a little bit about your time in the US and what you consider to be some of the major issues coming up there?
God, how long have we got?
25 more minutes, no.
That question is way too big. I'll just try and pare it down a bit. In terms of gender equality and the way in which Australia compares, I mean, there is an annual global measurement of this done by the Global Gender Index, published by the Davos people, and that's I think that's a pretty useful guide, because it is the same every year, and you can sort of measure each country with its own, it's internally. We can also measure countries in relation to each other, and it's certainly one that we use a lot here. And the shameful thing about our performance under that Gender Global Index is that, we've gone from being something like 15 in the world to we're now about 57 or something. And we're equal number one when it comes to women's educational opportunities. I think we're pretty up there when it comes to women's health. But where we fall down really, really badly is women's political representation, even though we're a lot better than a lot of other countries, but we're still, we're about 34%, I think, in the federal parliament is women, and that's I can't remember what we are in the world ranking, but it's certainly in the lower section. But where we really, really fall down, and the reason our rating keeps plummeting, is on women's workforce participation. The rate is so low, and it's just absolutely stuck there. It hasn't improved in more than 20 years, and it's because we absolutely refuse to address it and fix it, and it's easily fixed, and we won't do it. So that's very shameful. When it comes to women's political representation, which is one of the issues that I'm most interested in, and I'm certainly making a big study of it, living in the States at the moment during the presidential election campaign is absolutely fascinating. For the first time, there were 6 women candidates running for the Democratic nomination, and so what's going to be really fascinating about that is when it was just one woman per party, it was Hillary Clinton for the Democrats, and I can't remember the name of the woman now on the Republican side, but
Not important.
Meg or some businesswoman anyway. But when there is just one, she kind of has to just bear the entire impact of all of the sexism and misogyny which is directed at women in politics, and as we all know, Hillary really copped it in the same way that Julia Gillard copped it. When there's 6 women running, it makes things a little more complicated, and these 6 women are very different from each other. One of them is the woman, I think 2 of them are women of colour, one of them's got children, or one doesn't have children, and one's married. I mean, they're all different in interesting ways, and so I don't think we can really say how it's going to work out, but it's just going to be very interesting to watch, and it's something I really want to keep an eye on, hopefully write something about, and see where that, because the presumption is that the more you have critical mass, the more that women doing it, the more we get used to women in power, the more it normalises it, and we have a different response. And I think you see that in the countries where there have been, for example, New Zealand, they're on their 3rd woman Prime Minister, and it's kind of, everyone accepts that, or they appear to, in a way that we weren't able to do, and we had Gillard as our Prime Minister. So that's going to be really interesting. Whether or not one of them's going to make it all the way, I don't know, but it's certainly on the cards. I mean, 4 of those women are very plausible, credible candidates, and one of them could make it, and that will be extraordinary if that happens, because I do think the Democrats are heading for victory in the presidential election. And the other thing which is interesting to compare, and any of you who heard my press club speech last week will know this already, but looking at the political representation of women in this country and saying that the Liberal Party, wears its misogyny as a badge of honour, you can say exactly the same thing about the Republican Party in the United States. I mean, the midterm elections last November was, advertised as producing the year of the woman, because so many women were returned. Well, actually it wasn't that many, it was 26 women, which still brought the number of women in Congress only to sort of 24%, but way below us, and we're not too flash. But the other key point was that they were all Democrats. There were actually 10 fewer Republican women returned. So the Republicans are getting rid of their women the way the Liberal Party are getting rid of their women here. So it is a characteristic of these right-wing parties that there's a whole suite of issues. They're climate change deniers, they're anti-science, they're anti-education, they're anti-immigration. You know, they conflate immigration and asylum policy and border protection, which you know a lot more about than me. They're homophobic, they're racist, and they're misogynist. And the Republican Party and the Liberal Party are the cookie cutters now when it comes to that.
We are running out of time, so I want to leave you with one last question, which is to Anne Summers. How do you think the archetypes of damned whores and God's police have been translated to modern Australian society?
Sorry, I missed the first bit of that.
How do you think the archetypes of damned whores and God's police have been translated to modern Australian society?
Well, it's a really great question, and it's a question that I had to ask myself when there was a new edition of Dan Claus published in 2016, published on International Women's Day 3 years ago, thanks to a wonderful woman, two women actually, at the University of New South Wales. The book had gone out of print because Penguin, in its wisdom, had decided no one was interested anymore. So it was out of print for a few years, but Cathy Bale and Philippa McGuinness at New South Wales Press brought it back into print in this big new edition that contains all of the editions and all the introductions that I've had over the years and all the bells and whistles. So it's a really thick book now, partly because it's more material, partly because the type is larger, because the 1970s version, I don't think any of us could read it anymore. But in writing the new edition for 2016, I mean, the question was to ask, do those stereotypes still exist? Or have we kind of overcome that? Have we got rid of them? And my conclusion was they do exist, they still exist, we've just modernised them. And my view is the God's police stereotype is something that women cling to. A lot of women cling to it because it's all they have. The role of being in charge of the family, being a good mother, it's the only form of control a lot of women have, and they are very reluctant to surrender it. And this is something that we still, I think, have to deal with. But then the question was, well, who are the damned whores of the modern era? Because when I wrote the book in 1975, I identified 3 groups of women who were seen as the damned whores in the sense that they were social outcasts, they were transgressive, they were somehow not seen as being part of normal Australian women. And those 3 groups were Aboriginal women, Indigenous women, lesbians, and women prisoners, women in prison. And I don't think that that's the same anymore. I don't think any of those 3 groups would be seen as damned whores in the sense that they are spurned by society. And I think we're looking for different groups, and my hypothesis was, when you think about the women who are most despised in Australia today, would be the woman in the hijab, the Muslim woman who terrifies so many people here, particularly some of these right-wing politicians, the woman who has done nothing except to exist in a way that so many people find threatening. So if you define the damned whore as somebody who threatens the social order because people can't understand or accept her in the way that we couldn't understand or accept lesbians or prostitutes, sex workers, or women in prison, or Indigenous women, as used to be the case in the 70s. I think today it's women from other cultural groups or other immigrant groups whose way of life might be a little bit different. And I sort of made the contrast between, today women can walk down the street in, slut shaming and all those sort of marches and wear nothing, practically, and that's okay. But the woman who completely covers her body is now the pariah.
would you also put into that, you know, like someone like Rosie Batty, she cops a lot, and to me, I think, you know, one of the new archetypes is the woman who stands up and the woman who speaks out.
That's true.
Particularly against misogyny, particularly against the patriarchy, and particularly against violence.
Yes.
She then becomes seen as the pariah, not just by men, but by other women. She's the upsetter, she's the disruptor, she's the troublemaker. Would you put that into that?
I completely agree with you. And I think, you know, you could also say that, like, women like Clementine Ford and Van Badham and all of these, particularly young women who speak out and who are absolutely, you know, pursued mercilessly on social media, and the sort of things that are said and done to them are just shocking. So yes, it is women who are seen to upset the social order.
Too loud women, you know, the women who are too loud who are speaking, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's an interesting.
Yes. So that's, but I think that we haven't transcended those stereotypes, that we've just adapted them to modern society, sadly.
So speaking of loud women, I want to ask everyone in the room to help me say thank you to our special guest. A couple of final messages. If you have pre-purchased an autograph book by Anne Square, they are available at the Fabian store at the back, and there will be a little bit of time for autographs after the event concludes. I want to thank the organisers of this event, Emily's List and Australian Fabians, for all of your work. I want to do a special shout out to two people who really do give it their all, Janine Freeman and Phil O'Donoghue. You two are amazing. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and good night.